especially for your front-end applications with useDapp, okay? So I'm going to talk about what that is in this video, why this is such an important technology for you to understand, and how you can actually integrate it into your own projects with a coding tutorial that we're going to, see today and go through together. All right, so let's just, not waste any time, jump in here and, get a look at what useDapp is and how it can make your life a lot easier as a developer, okay? So this is a project that the whole goal is basically to make it a lot easier to create front-end websites that talk to decentralized applications. So let's just kind of break down the simple architecture of a basic Dapp, right? You've usually got your front end, which is a website like you can see here, that a user can interact with, usually written in JavaScript, maybe with a framework like React. That's the one that I like a lot that we use, inside this program. And then you have the back end, which lives in the blockchain that's powered by smart contracts. This is usually where the business logic of your application lies. This is where the persistent storage lies, kind of like the database, okay? And then you use this website to talk to that back end, right? Now, if you've been through any of the other tutorials in this program, maybe the blockchain bootcamp where we, build a front-end Dapp from scratch, you might have seen that it's a lot of work to create something from scratch, okay? And this can help speed up a lot of common tasks that you might do over and over and over again so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel every single time that you create your application. Basically, you can see here that there's a lot of common problems with front-end application development. You might have noticed that in order to create a blockchain application, a front end that automatically refreshes anytime data gets updated on the blockchain, there's a lot of work involved in that. This actually has refresh behavior out of the box. We'll demonstrate that here in a minute. This view mode, okay, so if you've ever gone to a Dapp and seen that it just looks blank before you have even, connected your MetaMask to the website, or it's not really meaningful, then, this solves that problem. And then the last thing is the status. It shows essentially where each transaction that you create is in the life cycle. So if you've created a transaction, it's pending, waiting to be mined, it's going to tell you that inside the application. You can get access to that pretty easily. And whenever it's finished, you can see the success confirmation, and of course you can refresh your app whenever that's done. There's lots of other benefits, like it's easy to work with, easy to test, easy to develop, and this is how this is how useDapp fixes this with React hooks, auto refresh, multi-call, okay, modern tech stack, extendable tests, all that type of stuff. Okay, so we're gonna see that in action in this video. Now the last thing I'll say is this: a bit of a philosophical point here with using frameworks that do common tasks for you out of the box versus building everything from scratch. So whenever you're learning fundamental coding skills, learning how to do things quote unquote the hard way, or maybe better said the long way, has a ton of value because you understand what's happening. So there's tremendous value in all the other tutorials that we do where we teach you how to code, front-end websites from scratch without using off-the-shelf solutions like this, okay? Lots of other tutorials that we do inside this program, also inside the blockchain bootcamp. There's a tremendous amount of value in learning to code that way because you understand how everything works. And, you can appreciate what's actually happening when you use a tool like this. And, but this is a great tool. Like once you've gotten the fundamental foundational skills, you can use a tool like this to help speed up tasks because you already know how to do these other things, and there's no point in you just doing the same things over and over and over again. If you understand how to do them and you just need a benefit, then that's exactly what useDapp is for whenever you start creating your professional projects. Maybe you want to use this in a portfolio project as a test or something like that. So let's go ahead and actually jump into the code and see how this works in action. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into the code here. So go ahead and find the zip file down below with the code example for this particular application. All right, it should be attached in the resources. Go ahead and unzip it. I don't think you're going to have access to this GitHub repository because it's private, but you should be able to just install, the code with that zip file. So just unzip it. Go ahead and open the, directory in your terminal, and we'll run some commands here to set up. All right, so the first thing we want to do here for sure is yarn install. So this is going to install the dependencies for our project. We're going to use yarn as a package manager instead of npm for this particular project. You can, there's lots of different reasons why you might want to use one or the other. I think at the end of the day, a lot of it's personal preference. We're going to use yarn this time. So you can do yarn install. Okay. So I've already done this, so it's probably going to show me that I've done this already. Okay. It's a nice thing about Yarn is it quickly just shows me everything's up to date. So if you haven't done it though, it'll take you a few seconds for your package to install, maybe up to a minute or so. Then the next thing we want to do is go ahead and start a development blockchain. So we're going to use Ganache for this. We're just going to use the GUI version. So you should be able to check out the dependencies video on how to install Ganache if you haven't already. Okay. This is basically our development blockchain that we're going to use for this tutorial. Just point and click. You can click Get Started, and it'll give you 10 accounts for free. And then you can, see all the accounts inside of here, and then their private keys. So go ahead and copy your private key. You definitely need a MetaMask wallet installed. You can go here and then import your private key. All right, you can check out the dependencies video. It's going to show you how to do that, right? But I've already imported the first account from my list inside of here, and I can see that I have some Ether. So I've spent a little bit because I've been testing around this particular account with Ganache running before I recorded this video. But you should have 100 Ether balance whenever you add your, add your MetaMask, add your private key to your MetaMask here. So we've started Ganache, we configured MetaMask. So now let's go ahead and actually open the project in Sublime Text. You can use whatever text editor you like. I'm just using Sublime Text, just as a creature of habit here. Okay, and inside of here, what we can do is actually go through the project and see what we have here. We got source, contracts, and simple storage. So what we're going to do is just create a basic Dapp with a basic smart contract, push it to the blockchain that has simple read and write behavior. But we're going to use useDapp, the framework that we're talking about here, to illustrate this. So the point of this tutorial is not to show you how to create an advanced application or even a unique application. This is going to be similar to some other tutorials we've done in the program here, but it's to show you the tooling and how you can do it with this method and how it can save you time and also give you access to a lot of nice features that other frameworks don't really provide. So we're just going to use this basic simple storage contract. All right. We have a migration inside of here. So let's see here, source, in migrations, deploy contracts, we deploy to the blockchain like this. So we can go ahead and do that and go truffle, migrate, -- reset. All right, so that's done. And now we can go ahead and run in our front end application right here with yarn start. All right, and this should boot up a front-end website that will let us actually interact with the application itself. Okay, so we can track the progress of that here. And here we go. So now you should see a notification to connect your MetaMask and pay the gas fee for the contract. All right, and boom, here we go. So let's actually look at what happens here. You can see your account here. You can see the number inside simple storage. So again, the contract, all it does is basically set a value. It's just a number, and then we can read the value. Okay, so right now, whenever you create the contract, it just starts out at 0. Okay, but now we can change it to 1. And if you'll notice, we'll set the number to 1. What you'll notice is you're going to see a lot of information update in real time. So whenever we submit our transaction, we'll sign with MetaMask, and we'll see the status of our transaction appear on the page. And that's something that useDapp is giving us for free, so we can actually surface that information to the user. It's really beneficial to see that inside of an application rather than just having to rely on Etherscan for everything. Okay, we'll watch our account balance change in real time, and we'll also see the transaction whenever it's submitted. We'll see it successfully, on the page. So let's just go ahead and do that. And we'll also see the storage number updates. So we'll get a lot of live real-time updating. Let's click confirm. Transaction started, so you can see the function name, and then transaction succeeded. It changed really fast, okay, but you can see that all this stuff changed in real time. I didn't even refresh the page, and we got access to that, okay, and it reads it from the contract here. So now we can do it again. You set it as 2. Click set, pay the fee, and then set started hash, and let's wait for it. And there we go, it succeeded. All right, so now let's go through some key parts of the code to see how this is actually going to speed up your workflow and how you can implement the code for this inside your own projects. Okay, so first of all, we definitely need the useDapp package inside of our project. Okay, so if you look at your package.json file, all right, you can see. Let's just see here. You can see the useDapp core package. So you definitely want to install this in your package.json if you want to use it inside your project. And then inside your main JavaScript file here, we're using app.js. You definitely want to import import useDapp core at the top. So we're going to combine this, also with ethers.js with the contracts. Okay, so ethers contracts. Okay, so some things are going to be very similar to the other projects that we've done, in this program, on YouTube, everywhere else. I'm just going to take an example project. Let's see here, like this ETH swap. So we can go to source. Let's see here, source components, app.js. Okay. And you can see that we're going to do some very similar things where we just import the ABI for the contract like this. That's going to be very similar. We're taking the simple storage ABI and importing it. That's just the JSON description of the smart contract. We import the CSS. We import the other components like the nav bar. Okay, this is all going to be very similar stuff, but this is different, right? You notice that we have all this other stuff like Web3, and then we're using ethers in this project, but whenever we create the application, there's two main differences. One, we're using class-based components. All right, in the old project, we're using functional components inside of React, which we did a video on that a couple weeks ago. I'll talk about that here in a minute. But anyways, so we've got the component wheel mount, and then inside of here you see this load Web3 and the load blockchain data. And inside this load blockchain data, you have all this code, right? And inside the Web3, you have all this boilerplate code that you have to do over and over and over and over and over again anytime you build an application. Now, like I said at the beginning of the video, that's fine when you're learning because you have to know what's going on. And this really helps you learn. But anytime you call a function or get access to a function, there's all this boilerplate code that has to get written over and over and over again in order to do really anything. All right, and so useDapp is extracting a lot of this away. And you can see also our Dapps University Starter Kit that we use as a starting point for many projects. We do the similar type of thing where we kind of had our own boilerplate code to fix some of this problem. Okay, so let's see how useDapp speeds some of this stuff up. So the first thing is that it uses functional components and React hooks. Okay, so what are React hooks? Well, we did a video about this a couple weeks ago in the program. Definitely check that out if you haven't already. How to speed up your development workflow with React hooks. Okay, so basically this makes React components functional rather than class-based. And instead of using lifecycle callbacks like component will mount, like we have in here, component will mount, and then we add all these functions inside of it, and you see this class app extends component. You just have, let's just see here. You just have a function here, and this function, has these hooks inside of it, and so you can see it like use ethers, all right. And then use ether balance, use token balance, and these are just special functions basically that get called whenever the component loads, all right? And these have a lot of magic underneath the hood, okay? So normally when you're creating a blockchain application, what you'd have to do is go in and create a function for all this stuff. So like, use ether balance. Well, you can look at in this other app, we have to go in with Web3.js and say, we have to load the user, right? We have to get the account. We have to load Web3. We have to get the account. We have to set the account to the state. We have to, save this, all right? We have to find the ETH balance. We have to set the balance to the state, then load the token from the network if we want to get a certain smart contract token address with their balance. There's all this stuff we have to do over and over and over again, but with useDapp and these hooks, you can just have a simple function that just says, hey, use the ether balance for the account, all right? And then we got the account easily. Use the token balance for DAI, all right? We've got the DAI smart contract address here, so just really easy, just really simple stuff that you should be able to do, and with software development you can do with this type of library without having to write a bunch of code yourself. So you can see a full list of the hooks here in the useDapp documentation. Okay, just go to useDapp website and click on the documentation. You'll see this. All right, and it'll show you the providers at the top. But if you go to hooks, this is where the magic is. And here's all the hooks available. You can use block. You can see what the current block number is, or the current block information on, in the blockchain. Block number will give you the current block meta. Use chain call. You can see a comprehensive list of all the things you can do here. All right, you just, you're only limited by, what this library provides you and your imagination. All right, they got lots of great helpers inside of here. Okay, there's all types of stuff. Okay, so let's look at some of the ones and how they're implemented inside of our application. So basically, we've got Ether balance, DAI balance. We use Ether balance, use token balance. We have notifications so that we can actually get alerted of things in real time with use notification. Sorry, let me just, there you go. Use notification. We have a lot of other really, really handy stuff. So use contract function for simple storage, send, all right? And then we can wire this up inside of our set number handler. Okay, so basically we have a function that gets called whenever we submit that form and change the number on the page. All right, we can see the flow here. So we put a number 3 and click set, all right, and it actually sets our number, and we see all this magic happen on the page. What's happening is we have an on submit handler that's called when the form is submitted, and it does set number handler. And so what this does inside this function that we created inside of our component here is it actually uses this, use contract function, simple storage, function set, transaction name. So instead of, doing some crazy long written out, Web3.js, contract methods, simple storage call, then pass in some really, really, really long, string of callbacks, it just does this, right? And you have access to just send. And then you can do send here, pass in my number, and it handles everything else, sort of on the back end, right? So, that's how you can get a huge benefit out of plugging these things in your application without having to write everything from scratch. All right, so that's an overview of how to use the useDapp framework to speed up your front-end blockchain development. All right, so we've seen in this video, what the problems are by building your own dApp from scratch, which is it's hard to refresh the application anytime something automatically changes in the blockchain. It's hard to create a dApp that uses view-only mode, and it's hard to access the status of every single transaction, okay? And we can see how, useDapp speeds up those problems or helps them by being easy to work with, easy to test, easy to develop, using React hooks, auto-fresh, and multi-call, okay? Especially with this modern stack that's extendable and testable. So, where do you go from here? So I would recommend, trying to create your own projects with some of these things to really play around with them and see, how you can implement these hooks and just kind of, maybe do some tests to see how they work. Like, how could you use the use block hook? So, for example, you might want to get information from the current block to see all the transactions inside of it. So maybe you wanted to create a block explorer application. You could just use block and then just log all the blocks out to the page, and then show the transactions information inside of that block. You could see all the transactions inside of it, see who sent the transaction, who received it, all that type of stuff. Okay. The next thing is you could do a lot of different stuff here. Okay, so use send transaction. Okay, you could use this to send ether from one account to another. Use config. Okay, all this type of stuff. You can see that it even has a connection to ethers.js where you can just do use ethers as a hook, and then also get things like gas price. So many different pieces of information about the blockchain that would take you not a lot of time, but it's just a significant amount of work to pull this information in for your own application if you had to create it from scratch. And that's the whole point, is these small efficiency benefits that you gain by not having to do one step over and over and over again. It's if you can save 5 minutes 100 times, you saved a lot of time, and that can add up and multiply, especially when you're developing a professional application, and it's a lot more important. But at the end of the day, it's really important to understand how these things work under the hood, and that's why I'm still an advocate for coding these things from scratch, from start to finish, so that you can see exactly, how that works and gain a fundamental mastery of the underlying principles. So if that's something you want to do, definitely check out some of the other videos in this program. Also, if you want the comprehensive step-by-step program on how to code for blockchain, blockchain from step by step, start to finish, then definitely check out the Blockchain Bootcamp. That's the best resource for doing that. There should be a discounted link down below for you to join that program so you can learn to build a decentralized application from scratch, get real professional level blockchain skills. You'll get a lot more out of the videos in this program as well. So that's all I got for today. Until next time, thanks for watching Blockchain Mastery University. All right, so welcome back